Hey everyone, Chaos here. Welcome to my full Season 2 PvP guide for World of Warcraft, The War Within, patch 11.1. In this video, I'll be covering everything you need to know to start climbing the ranks in all brackets. 2 vs 2, 3 vs 3, rated battlegrounds, and solo shuffle. I'll be going over gameplay fundamentals, the Season 2 meta, bracket strategies, gearing, and a few advanced tips to push rating. By the end, you'll have a solid understanding of how to dominate arenas, battlegrounds, or wherever you fight other players. And one quick note, this is not a tier list video. That's a separate video on my channel, so if you want to know which specs are at the top of the list this season, check out my tier list after this. But for now, let's focus on building up your PvP knowledge and giving you practical advice to improve your gameplay. Let's get started. First, let's set the stage with a quick overview of what's changed in Season 2. Patch 11.1. The War Within has brought new hero talents, class balance passes, and new PvP talents that have shifted the meta from last season. While raw damage numbers have changed for some specs, Blizzard also changed crowd control durations and added extra survivability or utility to a few classes. So while some specs are still the big dogs, a lot of underrepresented classes can now step up and feel more competitive. As a result, we have a very diverse meta. You'll still see the big hitters, Affliction Warlocks, Shadow Priests, and maybe some Frost Death Knights making big plays, but everything feels a bit more balanced than before. The tier list might vary across brackets, but overall, most specs can climb if you play them well. That's good news for newbies or returning veterans. You don't have to chase the flavor of the month spec to succeed. Now let's talk fundamentals. It doesn't matter if you're going for Gladiator in 3 vs 3 or just want to stomp a few solo shuffle matches. PvP fundamentals are key. These are the basics on which you'll build your strategies. Communication and coordination. In any bracket above solo shuffle, good communication can turn a mess into a work of art. Even in solo shuffle, watch what your teammates do. Track crowd control and anticipate kill setups. Clear calls like stunning the healer or bursting the warlock now can save you seconds. If you're in voice chat with friends or teammates, keep it concise and relevant. You want to tell each other who to CC, when to pop cooldowns, and when you need peels. In short, you want everyone to be on the same page at the same time. Cooldown and crowd control management. A lot of fights in Season 2 are won by how you manage your major offensive and defensive cooldowns. Don't blow everything at once unless you know it'll get a kill. Likewise, coordinate double C chains so you're not stunning, fearing, and crowd controlling the same target at the same time. Stagger them for maximum effect. Also, watch out for new or updated talents that shorten CC durations or provide immunity windows. Some classes got new toys to disrupt your usual CC combos. Positioning and line of sight. PvP positioning is often overlooked, but it's huge in deciding if you live or die. Know where the pillars and ramps are and use them to avoid being a free target for enemy casters. Don't let the other team drag you out into no man's land if you're the healer. Stick to locations that let you break line of sight the moment you see them setting up CC or big burst on you. If you're playing a ranged DPS force your enemies into bad positions. Lure them away from pillars so you can land easy casts or line up crowd control on their healer without running behind walls. Trading defensives. Modern WoW PvP can be bursty, so you need to know how to trade your defensive cooldowns properly. If you see an enemy pop their big CDs, Combustion, Avenging Wrath, Metamorphosis, or a Death Knight's Pillar of Frost with a Remorseless Winter bonus, that's often your cue to pop a defensive or plan a CC chain to stop them. Don't panic and blow multiple defensives at once, because that usually means you'll be vulnerable the next time they go on the offensive. Instead, rotate them. For example, on the first big enemy push, your healer might pop a major cooldown to keep you alive. On the second push, you might use your personal defensive or trinket. Having that discipline wins matches. Adaptation and awareness. Keep an eye on the battlefield. If you're against a rogue mage comp, expect them to CC your healer while bursting a squishy target. If you're against a Frost DK or a Demonology Warlock, be ready for huge AoE damage bursts that can melt your entire team. Part of winning is anticipating how your opponents will kill you. Once you know that you can plan your counters, peel them, line of sight them, or force them onto the defensive by being more aggressive first. Now let's talk about the Season 2 meta. I won't be listing every spec in a strict ranking, that's for my tier list video, but here are a few standouts. Shadow Priests are a big deal right now. They can combine sustained DOT pressure with big burst windows under Dark Ascension or Void Form and nuke a target fast. On top of that, they bring utility like Silence, Fear, and off heals, making them super valuable in small and large group scenarios. Affliction Warlocks can tear a team apart with spread DOTs, especially in longer fights. New or updated PvP talents have made it even easier to keep pressure on multiple targets. If AF Locks can free cast or keep DOTs rolling, they'll rot your team down and leave your healer gasping for mana. Frost Death Knights used to be overshadowed by Unholy in previous seasons, but Season 2's changes gave Frost some huge burst potential. With their new PvP talent synergy, Pillar of Frost can turn your remorseless winter into a AoE zone. If you see a Frost DK popping CDs, you need to respond fast, or you'll lose half your team in seconds. Outlaw Rogue has become a favorite among some high-rated players due to its array of defensive cooldowns, frequent stuns, and crowd control options. It's not the same burst monster as Subtlety, but it brings a more durable, control-oriented playstyle that can dominate if you're patient and precise. Disc Priest is still one of the top healers for small-scale PvP because it has the best mix of healing throughput, offensive pressure, penance damage, and utility spells, Pain Suppression, Dome, Mass Dispel. In 2 versus 2, a Disc Priest can practically play like a third DPS if you line up your setups properly. Resto Druid is another strong contender thanks to buffs that improved its overall throughput. You still have great mobility in CC, Cyclone, but now your HOTs are more potent. This is especially strong in 3 versus 3 in rated battlegrounds where fights can go longer. At the end of the day, every class has a shot if played well, but these examples show which specs have capitalized on the patch changes the most. Now let's talk about bracket-specific advice. Although the fundamentals are the same across the board, each bracket has its own quirks. 2v2 Arena. In 2 versus 2 synergy and cooldown trading can make or break your match. If you're playing a double DPS comp like Rogue and Mage or Hunter DK, you'll want to force the enemy healer's trinket early and then kill with your next CC chain. Make sure you communicate. Your window is small and overlapping stuns or missing a crucial interrupt can cost you the match. If you're playing healer, you DPS, be patient. Wear the enemy team down by forcing them to use defensives at the wrong times. A great example is Disc Priest / Sub Rogue. The Rogue can take advantage of the Priest's damage to apply pressure, while the Priest can keep them both alive with efficient heals, shields, and clutch CC. Positioning is also key in 2 versus 2. Smaller maps mean it's harder to avoid damage, but you can still duck behind pillars to reset if you're being focused. And remember, many kills happen when a DPS or healer gets caught in an unexpected swap. Always track your partner's cooldowns and health so you can peel or assist if the enemy tries a sudden swap. 3v3 Arena. In 3 versus 3, cross CC is key. You can shut down an entire team if you time your stuns, silences, and polymorphs right. For example, a typical RMP Rogue Mage Priest game plan is to stun the kill target, polymorph the healer, and keep the third enemy controlled via fear or a second stun. These layered chains often lead to a kill before the enemy can respond. Communication is huge here. If you're not in voice chat, at least set up macros or short calls in party chat. Something as simple as, I'm cheap shotting the healer in 3 and 2, 1, helps everyone align. If you can lock down the enemy's healer or key DPS, you'll get kills way more consistently than if you just toss out CC randomly. Also, watch out for cleave comps like TSG, Warrior plus DK plus Healer. They'll try to smash your squishiest member with continuous pressure. Kite them, disrupt their kill attempts with CC, and try to create space. A well-executed cleave can feel suffocating, but if you position correctly, they'll struggle to maintain uptime on your entire team. Rated Battlegrounds. RBGs are a whole different beast. Instead of focusing on tight synergy between 2 or 3 players, you're part of a 10-player team that needs role assignments and target calling. Typically, you'll have a dedicated flag carrier, 2 or 3 healers, and a mix of ranged and melee DPS. When you're in an RBG, always follow the shot caller's instructions. If your leader calls out a target, focus that target. Splitting damage too widely makes it harder to get kills in big fights. Classes like Affliction Warlocks, Demonology Warlocks, and Shadow Priests excel here because of the AoE or spread pressure. If you're a melee DPS, be ready to peel for your healers by using stuns, interrupts, and displacement, like Death Grip or Ring of Peace. Map awareness is key. Know where to stand on each battleground to defend flags effectively, how to coordinate with a tank class for capture the flag maps, and when to rotate between nodes. Even if your personal damage is high, you won't win an RBG if you're ignoring objectives. Solo Shuffle. Solo Shuffle is a wildcard bracket where players rotate teammates each round so synergy can be hit or miss. The big tip here is self-sufficiency. Don't rely heavily on perfect cross CC or coordinated setups because you might not get them. Choose PvP talents and builds that allow you to sustain yourself, deal consistent damage, and survive sudden focus. Many kills in Solo Shuffle happen when one person overextends or fails to respond to the enemy's big cooldown push. Keep an eye on the kill feed for major offensives. If you see someone pop Avenging Wrath or Metamorphosis, be prepared to peel or trade defensives. And don't tilt after a bad round. Each match reshuffles the teams, so adapt your approach based on your new partners and new enemies. Now let's talk about gearing in patch 11.1. A big part of PvP success is making sure you're on an even playing field gear-wise. Here's what you need to know. Honor and Conquest gear. Both sets have been buffed for Season 2. Honor gear scales to a solid PvP item level, and Conquest gear is the strongest. Get a full Conquest set as soon as possible. Start capping every week to stay competitive. Weapon priority. Your weapon is often your largest single source of damage or healing throughput. Conquest your weapon first because that power spike is huge. Tier sets. Season 2, tier sets can make or break certain specs. Shadow Priests, for example, get a huge damage boost that synergizes with their burst windows. If your tier bonus is strong in PvP, try to at least get the 2-piece. Sometimes you can use the Revival Catalyst to convert PvP gear into tier gear, which keeps your PvP item level high but grants the powerful set bonus. PvP Trinket bonus. Always use 2 PvP trinkets. This gives you a big boost to your primary stat and stamina. Typically, you'll want the Gladiator's Medallion, the CC Break Trinket, plus either an on-use damage trinket, badge, or a proc trinket, insignia, depending on your spec synergy. Crafted gear and embellishments. Don't forget about crafted items. Some special effects or embellishments can be very strong in PvP when paired with the Conquest upgrade token. For example, certain items provide extra movement speed or shield procs, little bonuses that can turn the tide in a fight. Upgrading gear. Upgrading your gear for PvE item level is optional unless you also do Mythic Plus or raids. In PvP, combat items scale to their PvP item level regardless of upgrades. Focus on getting the base Conquest pieces first, then worry about upgrades if you also want better PvE performance. Now let's get into some tips on climbing rating efficiently. Whether you're aiming for Rival, Duelist, or even Gladiator, these tips can help you push through plateaus. Analyze your gameplay. Don't just queue. Take a moment after each match to think about what went right and what went wrong. Did you die during a specific enemy cooldown every time? Did you fail to track the enemy's trinket? Did you overlap defensives with your healer? Identifying these patterns is key to improvement. Practice proper double C chains. In higher rated matches, the difference between a kill and a miss can be a single GCD. Know your rotation for bursting a target and which CC to chain on the enemy healer. Communicate with your team or watch their GCD usage in Solo Shuffle so you don't layer stuns at the same time. Cooldown trading discipline. This is so important, I'm mentioning it again. If you panic every time you see a DPS pop their offensive CDs, you'll waste your own defensives and have nothing left when it really matters. Try to keep track of the biggest threats. If a mage has no combustion left, you can hold your personal CDs for another 10 seconds until they get a different opportunity. If the rogue use Shadow Blades, you know their burst is coming, so plan your response. Map knowledge. Different arenas have different pillar arrangements, which affects line of sight. Don't let the enemy pin you in an awkward spot. Some of the newer maps, like the War Within's Cage of Carnage, have a more cramped layout, so you might not have as many pillars to hide behind. Learn each map's layout and approach it with a plan. Spec-specific optimizations. Take some time to research or experiment with your class talents, hero talents, and PvP talents. There might be hidden gems that are strong this season. Some classes got new defensive tools, while others got extra burst combos. Check logs, watch streams, or read up on patch notes to see what top players in your spec are doing. Stay mentally composed. Player versus player can be intense. If you queue for hours and start seeing red after a few losses, step away for a moment. Frustration leads to sloppy mistakes. A clear, calm mind helps you notice the subtle clues your opponents show during a match. It also keeps your communication level headed if you're playing with friends or a team that relies on your calls. Teamwork and finding partners. If you're serious about 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3, find consistent partners rather than random queuing. The synergy you build with regular teammates is invaluable. You start to anticipate each other's moves from defensive usage to CC chains. That consistency can carry you through tough matchups, while random LFG groups can leave you guessing at your partner's next move. Watch and learn. Sometimes the best way to improve is by watching higher rated players on Twitch, YouTube, or in-game spectating. You'll notice how they position themselves when they decide to push for a kill and how they handle tricky scenarios. Don't just passively watch, actively think, why did the Warlock port there? Or what triggered that mage to use Ice Block so early? Answering these questions will sharpen your instincts in your own matches. Now let's wrap up. Season 2 in the War Within is a fresh start for many classes thanks to patch 11.1 changes and new hero talents. The meta is more balanced than you think, and if you follow solid PvP fundamentals, positioning, cooldown trading, and CC synergy, you can achieve a lot regardless of whether your spec is top tier or not. If you want to know the exact ranking of specs in each bracket, I do have a separate tier list video on my channel where I break down the top performers. But remember, a tier list is just a snapshot. A so-called A tier spec can easily beat an S tier if you master your rotation, coordinate with your team, and adapt to the situation. Skill really does matter in PvP, often more than raw numbers alone. As we close, I want to mention that if you're short on time or just want a pro's helping hand, you can check out my ChaosBoost game boosting service. We offer PvP boosting for all sorts of goals, from rating pushes in 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, or solo shuffle to winning streaks in rated BGs. You can even opt for coaching sessions if you want to pick a pro player's brain and learn how to become self-sufficient. Our boosters are top-tier gladiators and seasoned veterans who know the ins and outs of every bracket, so you can boost your rating safely and learn a thing or two along the way. Whether you decide to climb on your own or get some backup from ChaosBoost, I hope this guide helps you tackle Season 2 PvP with confidence. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more WoW content. Leave any questions in the comments and I'll do my best to answer or even make a follow-up video if there's enough demand. See you in the next match. Good luck and stay chaotic.